The Ingham family's financial situation is huge at the moment. It's huge news, but also it's worse news than we ever could have imagined. And only they know if they knew how big it actually was in the first place. Last week I brought you the news that the Inghams were in dire financial situations with their CCJs, especially the ones levied against the Ingham Family Limited business. But it's not just that. After Sarah had her little rant about how she was in a good financial situation and even showed her credit report to try and prove it, which kind of fell flat on her face, the level of... So today it has emerged that their company, the Ingham Family Limited, has been placed into liquidation. As you can see from this, the appointment of liquidators, notice category corporate insolvency, notice type appointment of liquidators as of the 3rd of June, which is today, and it gets so much better. Oh yes. It says the name of the company, the Ingham Family Limited, the company number, the nature of the business are social media bloggers / YouTubers, and the registered office is now that office there. It's no longer their accountants because it has been transferred to the liquidators. We're going to get onto that in a second. The type of liquidation it is creditors, which is very important, which means that the creditors are the ones that this is all being done for. And so the liquidator's name and address there is now that one that I mentioned before, Michael Jenkins and David Adams Broadbent. Resolutions for winding up the company, and that is today, as we said. Now, the Inghams, they have pulled some sort of crap in my time, but this is absolutely brilliant, right? The Ingham Family Limited, the registered office, again, as I said, is that one. That is actually the liquidator's office address now. The previous address, it's mentioned there as being the accountants, which they used to use as their address. So it says here, at a general meeting of the members of the above named company, duly convened and held at the offices of 11 Clifton Moor in York on 29th of May 2025, the following resolutions were duly passed as a special resolution and as an ordinary resolution respectfully. And then it goes on to say that the company be wound up voluntarily and that Michael Jenkins and David Adam Broadbent, both of Begbie's trainer liquidators, and then the address, be and hereby are appointed as joint liquidators of the company for the purpose of the voluntary winding up, and any act required or authorized under any enactment to be done by the joint liquidators may be done by all or any one or more of the persona holding the office of liquidator from time to time. Any person who requires further information may contact Joe Hudson by telephone or email, and it's signed Christopher Ingham, Chair. Oh, I'd love to see Chris Ingham as a chair of the board. Last time he'll ever be chairman of the board, I'm guessing, right? So there had been some speculation recently about whether or not the Inghams have hidden a few of their vehicles. I believe from sources that the RV and the camper van are not on the drive anymore at the house over there. And this could be an issue because if they have moved those vehicles, they might have had them seized, I don't know. But if they've moved them intentionally to hide them so that the taxman or whoever can't get their hands on it, that could be a major issue. As it says here, hiding assets during liquidation can lead to severe consequences, including potential criminal penalties, disqualification from acting as a director, and personal liability for company debts. In some cases, individuals may even face imprisonment. So you can see it's a very serious situation the Inghams are in here. Whatever's happened to those vehicles, it looks to the naked eye like they've just put them away somewhere so that people like the liquidators here can't seize them, can't take them, can't sell them off for money for the creditors, right? So we have further information here. Criminal penalties. Hiding assets can be considered a fraudulent act under insolvency law, potentially leading to criminal charges and imprisonment. So I hope, Chris, for your sake, that's not exactly what you've done. Now, the second one on the list is disqualifications as a director. A director who hides assets may be disqualified from serving as a director of a company for up to 15 years. So who's going to, be your main man on your directorship, Chris? Not you, is it? Not that you think actually it matters. You don't think it matters because you've gone off to Dubai and you think you're hidden from everything in Dubai. Nobody can touch you. That's what your mindset actually is. Number 3, personal liability for company debts. If wrongdoing is found, a director may be made personally liable for the company's debts, which could be an issue when it comes to your house. You know, the house which is not in the company's name, but if it's deemed that you have to personally be liable for the debts, then, it could be an issue. They might sell off your house. It could happen. So just because you think you've got all bases covered doesn't necessarily mean to say that you do. So number 4 on the list, we have bankruptcy restriction order, BRO or BRO. For individuals, hiding assets during bankruptcy can lead to a BRO, which extends the period of financial restrictions beyond the standard bankruptcy period. So a longer sentence, essentially. Number 5, other consequences. Fines, court orders to repay hidden assets, and other legal penalties are also possible. So some important considerations as well alongside these. The Insolvency Service investigates cases where wrongdoing is suspected, and the liquidator plays a crucial role in uncovering any hidden assets. So if there are hidden assets, Chris, if you've siphoned them off to your family and friends, your family, because, what friends have you got? The liquidators will find them because that's their job. If a director is found to have acted improperly, they may be required to restore assets to the company or repay any lost funds. So if you have given away your assets to friends or family, then they may ask you just to pay the money that you got, basically, to the creditors. I think that's what that means. Now, a big question that's come up is, can a company or a business continue to trade once they are in liquidation? And the answer to that is no. But this isn't quite as straightforward as a yes or no answer. I'm going to get into that in a second. It says, no, a company in liquidation cannot continue to trade. Once a company is placed in liquidation, the liquidator's primary responsibility is to wind down operations, sell assets, and distribute the proceeds to creditors. Trading activities are typically halted to focus on settling debts and closing the company. Ceasing trading. The moment a company enters liquidation, it is legally required to cease all trading activities. The liquidator's role. The liquidator takes control of the company's affairs and is tasked with maximising the returns to creditors, which includes selling assets and ending winding down operations. Sorry. So basically what all this is saying is that once a company is in liquidation, all trading is ceased, and the trading as I see it is the Ingham Family Limited is the Ingham Family YouTube channel and all branches of their YouTube channel that are linked particularly to their bank account, I guess, but that are registered under the limited company. Now, the problem here is, firstly, we don't know whether the Ingham Family YouTube channel is still registered under the Ingham Family Limited name. We don't know if they are using that name anymore. We don't know if they are trading under that name at all, right? We don't know that. However, if they have moved that company name or that business to another company name whilst it is insolvent, then that's a problem for them, I think, as far as I can read between the lines, I guess. It seems like they can't do that. They can't, if the company is insolvent, they cannot move or transfer away a company or a business to another company. They can't do that because that would be seen as fraudulent actions, I think. Don't quote me on that, because this is how I'm seeing it. I think this is the case, but I'm not, you know, I'm not in this trade, so I don't know exactly. And this is further enhanced by this: protecting creditors. Continuing to trade during liquidation could lead to further losses for creditors, and directors could face legal consequences for wrongful trading. So if you're trading whilst being insolvent or whilst owing the creditors money but keeping the money for yourself, that's wrongful trading, because you owe the creditors money and their interests should come first always. So if they have moved their company away, then that's clearly wrong. I think, as far as I can gather what it means anyway. The legal consequences are: trading while in liquidation can lead to serious legal penalties, including personal liability for the directors and potentially disqualification from holding office. Now, there's an issue if you were to become disqualified. This is brilliant, actually. This is one of my favourite parts, right? If you are disqualified from being a director, do you know what that means? I can't contain. What it means basically is this. So first of all, banned from acting as a director. Disqualified director cannot be appointed as a director of any limited company. But even better than that is restrictions on name usage. Directors may be banned from using the name or similar name to the liquidated company for a period of 5 years. So the Ingham Family Limited, right? That's their name. That is who they are. They are not allowed, or they may not be allowed, to use the Ingham family as their channel name in their intros, their outros, their marketing material, their websites, all this that they built their entire brand on. And it's their actual name, and they might not actually be able to use it anymore. I think that's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. I actually do. I think that's probably the best part of it, if I'm being honest. I think it's funny. I do. It's so funny. And then there's a personal liability, of course. In some cases, directors may be personally made liable for debts if their conduct contributed to the company's failure. So there's a lot of issues going on here. There's a lot of things to consider from Chris's point of view. And this is really, really bad, because it's just looking like the entire world is crumbling down about them. This must be really embarrassing for them. I've got some further information here, and this is taken directly from the insolvency practitioners that are dealing with their company. Can a company continue to trade when it is in liquidation? So what happens in company liquidation, and can I continue trading? Good questions, those. Good questions. Let's have a look. The majority of companies that are struggling financially can be saved via a rescue plan. Clearly, Chris didn't actually do this, However, it's also the case that some businesses have insurmountable debts and are no longer commercially viable. In that situation, insolvent liquidation is the only option. Now, insurmountable debts, I don't know how many debts they have. This is the one other issue. We have no idea. I mean, the 2 CCJs that they have amounted to about £1,300, which can't be insurmountable. So they must have a lot more debts than that, unless they just couldn't be asked paying even the smallest debts, right? Liquidation is the formal process that brings a company to an end. The liquidator sells its assets and uses the proceeds to pay the company's creditors, the parties it owes money to, as far as possible. They then remove the company from the official register, and any remaining debts are written off. You can enter into liquidation voluntarily, or it can be forced on the company by a creditor. In this case, the Inghams case, it was voluntary in order to pay back the creditors, because that was the only option they actually had. Regardless of how you enter liquidation, you must cease trading as soon as you know the company is insolvent and for the duration of the procedure. Now, the point there about being insolvent is very important. It's not just when it entered the liquidation stage, it's when it was obvious that they could not pay people. So when the company was insolvent, and they would have known this a long time ago, but they carried on trading. Can I continue trading when my company is in liquidation? The simple answer is no. You should cease trading as soon as you know the company can no longer pay its debts when they are due, or its liabilities outweigh the value of its assets. At that point, the company is said to be insolvent, and you are legally required to cease trading to protect your creditors from unnecessary losses. So a liquidator will take control of the company to repay the creditors and wind down its affairs. Although you cannot trade the company during this liquidation process, in rare cases, the liquidator may allow certain contracts to continue to boost the return for the creditors. So basically, you can't trade at all, but in certain circumstances, they will allow some contracts to go through in order to bring money in, but that money would only be used to pay the creditors. Why can I not trade during liquidation? When a company enters insolvent liquidation, it is because it's no longer commercially viable and cannot pay its debts. If you were allowed to continue trading under these circumstances, the company could accrue further debts it cannot pay and worsen the financial position of its creditors. As part of the liquidation process, the company's assets are sold to raise money to repay its creditors, which includes the vehicles that they have, which are definitely in the company name, I would say. The cameras would be, definitely. The drones would be. All those sort of things that they use day to day in order to film and to make videos for you guys, for entertainment, obviously, and to exploit the kids. that equipment would be sold off to pay the creditors, right? And if that happens, what are they going to film on, right? If they were to open another company or restart business afresh, they would need products. So they would need items, assets. They need the cameras, the drones, all that sort of stuff that they use every day in order to film, which they might not have. So this is a very serious situation for the Inghams. If they don't have all these things, then it's bye-bye Ingham family as we know it. Well, it sounds like it actually is bye-bye Ingham family as we know it. They might actually be having to change their name, which should be fun. However, by definition, the fact that the company is insolvent means there isn't enough money to repay all the creditors in full. The result is that unsecured creditors such as trade suppliers, customers, landlords and HMRC often receive little or none of the money they are owed. If companies in liquidation were allowed to trade, it risks creating further debts the unsecured creditors would have to write off. Trading in liquidation also increases the risk of fraud. For example, directors would have the opportunity to transfer assets away from the company. Now, this is very important. It's actually stating here, if you were to carry on trading whilst you were insolvent, it gives you the opportunity to transfer your assets away from the company, therefore hiding the assets, and you can't do that. Making it a legal requirement to cease trading in liquidation protects the public and makes fraud more difficult to execute. What is the difference between fraudulent and wrongful trading? This is an interesting one. Fraudulent or wrongful trading can have serious repercussions for a limited company director. Fraudulent trading is a criminal act, while wrongful trading is a civil offence. Both wrongful trading and fraudulent trading are offences under the Insolvency Act and Companies Act, and the directors must be particularly vigilant to both acts if their company is at risk of becoming insolvent. Trading while knowingly insolvent may lead to accusations of wrongful trading, or the more serious charge of fraudulent trading if you are thought to have deliberately attempted to deny creditors what they are owed. So this brings me back to the whole vehicles again, the assets being siphoned away, moved away, given away, signed over, etc. Right? If he's done that with the knowledge that doing so would save him from paying the creditors back, thus denying the creditors, that would then make it a fraudulent act, therefore being a criminal act and be a more serious charge. So that is one that Chris needs to be aware of. If you fear that your company has reached a state of insolvency, you must tread very carefully in order to ensure that you do not inadvertently commit an act which could constitute wrongful trading. Insolvency is when you are unable to pay bills as they fall due, or when the total of the company liabilities exceed the total value of assets held. It is incumbent on a director to be aware of their company's financial positions at all times. And this is where Sarah Ingham falls into it. Putting forward a defence that you were unaware of the insolvent situation will carry little weight. Failing to realise that a company is in financial difficulties may be regarded as negligent, irresponsible, or proof of unfit conduct of directors, which will add to the seriousness of the situation. So, Sarah, the other day in her vlog, stated, although she was talking about her personal account, but it may apply to her business account too, that she had no idea how much was in their account. She didn't care about how much they had, wasn't her business, didn't care, doesn't matter to her, right? Well, according to this, it should matter to her. She should care, and she definitely will get prosecuted. Possibly even more so than if she had known, by the sounds of things, because it just shows that she was not fit to be a director in the first place, and it may actually be worse for her to put forward a defence of, she just didn't know how much was in the account. She wasn't aware. Chris was in charge of everything. Well, that's just stupid. We've all told Sarah that it's stupid, and it is stupid. So it seems like Chris and Sarah are in a bit of hot water right now, and I don't blame them for being in hot water. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? So earlier on we saw that there was an email address for this Begbie Trainers Insolvency people, and I thought I would fire off an email to them just to let them know one or two things, just in case they weren't aware. I'm sure they know a lot about a lot of things, but one or two things they might not know, and they might be, grateful, I guess. So we put to joe.hudson@btguk.com. Subject here is the Ingham Family Limited. We put dear Joe. No, it's too formal, too unformal. In fact, dear Ms. Hudson. Regarding the above named company, I would like to inform you of the misdeeds of the director, Mr. Christopher Ingham, during the course of his directorship. During July 2018, he was alleged to have used his business platform to entice girls as 16, so as young as 16, to engage in sexual activity with him. This was in a very major nationally at the time by Sussex. Is it Sussex? East Sussex? But Sussex, can't remember which Sussex it is. Sussex Place as being true. No charges brought against irrelevant information is as to run a UK Additionally, please any assets have owned the family and he would be wary of any assets he may have loaned the family and or hidden away everything he owns. Finally, impression that companies unable to trade while insolvent is a hot cook. There you go. And there we have it. That was sent off, so they can do with it as they please. Can't hurt anyway, can it? So, what do you think, guys? Do you reckon that the Inghams are in a little bit of financial trouble? There's so many facets to this, and we obviously don't know everything. We don't know all the situation. We don't know whether the company was transferred away, or the business rather was transferred away to a different company name like yonks ago. We don't know whether or not the how much is owed and to whom. It could be tax bills, it could be all sorts of creditors that they owe money to. It sounds like Chris just decided to up and leave the UK and bugger off to Dubai, thinking that it would solve all his issues. Whether or not Sarah is fully aware of what's going on, I don't know. Some people think that she is more aware than she lets on, but I can't get my head around Sarah just being thick as shit. I can't, honestly. I just she comes across as very, very unintelligent, and she doesn't seem to know very much about very much. It feels like Chris has just dumped them all in it completely, including his kids. He's taken a channel which was, by the way, originally Sarah's channel. He's pimped his kids out to the nth degree, and he's got nothing to show for it. The kids have nothing to show for it, because the channel is dying anyway. The business company is definitely dying, as you can see here. They've got CCJs coming out of their ears. The financial situation is a lot worse than we could ever have thought it actually was. Chris has been banging on for such a long time about how they've got more money put away than we could ever imagine. They're in such good financial health, but it seems like that's not even true, is it, Chris? It's not true, and yet he is trying to persuade everybody that he is living this millionaire lifestyle out in Dubai, can afford whatever he wants to afford, and we should pay for his advice in order to get it. But no, thank you, because his company personally, his personal life, his personal finances, and his business finances are about as bad as each other, and that is quite some feat. You know, they had a lot of money, they fucked it all up. Chris mainly did it, you know, for doing what he did, and there we go. That is the end of that. I'm sure more will come out of this in days to come. I will cover it all as usual, and I hope to see you back here then for more of this. So if you have appreciated this video, please give it a massive thumbs up, comment all of your thoughts about it down below, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and bye bye.